Yeah, last week we were down in the student centre, and there was a lot of we cut to Big Brother for Rag Week. We cut to the car, and there was one, I was talking about Skullgirls and Tekken 3D Prime Edition for the 3DS. Two new fighting games that I'm going to repeat now because I didn't really get to say all I wanted to. So first I'll talk about Skullgirls. Skullgirls is being developed by a new developing company called Reverge Labs, being published by Konami and Autumn Games jointly. It's coming out now. The date is 31st of March, but I reckon that might be pushed back for Europe.
Okay.
A bit. I know this is me assuming. I don't know, but yeah, the story is there is this stone called a Skull Heart, which will grant the wish of any woman who possesses it. There's only one, so there's only one woman in control of it. However, if her heart isn't pure, then the wish will become corrupted. Sort of as if you make a deal with the devil and what you thought you wanted ends up being totally horrible.
Oh, yeah.
The wish will become something like that, and you yourself will be granted all these demonic powers, but you will then become an evil witch, sorceress type thing.
Right.
These witches are called Skullgirls, and there's only ever one at any one time, obviously. One per stone. The current Skullgirl is wreaking havoc all over the world, and there's 8, as of yet, female characters who want to take over the Skullheart. And that's why all these fights happen. It's a sort of the right to win the Skullheart. The characters themselves look pretty cool. Like one girl, her head falls off and she keeps fighting,
yes,
and
I've
she
seen
uses
that.
it as a weapon. Another girl's got like arms coming out of her head.
Ninja nurse.
Ninja nurse.
There's a ninja
she
nurse.
looks awesome. Yeah. There's one who was like no body. She's kind of like Rayman. She's just got arms and torso and stuff.
Yeah, but that's how Rayman gets around the whole arrow to the knee thing. He doesn't have to worry
He
about
doesn't have
that.
any. Arrow just fly right by him. But yeah, the story side of it seems a bit normal.
Well, that's been done a million times over every
The
other fighting
mechanics
game.
side of it is what makes this game sound amazing.
Yeah.
This is only a DLC game, only downloadable for PSN. Sorry, SEN, as it's now
Sony
called,
Entertainment Network.
and Xbox Live Arcade. This game takes fighting, and in my opinion, it's going to completely dictate the way the genre goes. There's this thing called infinite detection, where if I am spamming a move by hitting, I don't know, X over and over again, or maybe there's one 2 or 3 button combo that I know and I keep doing that and it becomes unblockable. The game has this thing called infinite detection where it will detect a loop in my gameplay and it will give the opposing player a fraction of a second to stop me. So like if I'm hitting someone in the leg and there's blue sparks to mark the fact that I'm hitting them, when that changes to purple, the other player can just press, I don't know, maybe right trigger or something, and then bam, it's stopped and they're now attacking me. So it stops spamming. And it's also got easier input for combos. So like if there's a move that needs me to rotate the analog stick 360 degrees, and I rotate it like 350, instead of just jumping up in the air because the game thinks I've now just pressed up, like in most games, the game will cop on and realize that what I'm trying to do is a 360 motion, and it'll assume I've put it in properly.
All right.
So it is a lot easier to get good at the game.
But don't you think that takes away sort of from the difficulty of the game?
No, I think it's. You see, like we're still talking about fractions of a second here.
Yeah.
But like it used to be like Tekken got so crazy at one point it became a memory game.
Yeah.
Whoever was best
at
memorizing moves became good. Like now it's easier to actually attain skill, and all the characters are evenly powered.
Yeah.
But as diverse as possible at the same time. There's also apart from easier input, like, okay, by the way, there's one point easier input. Left to right, it gives you a bigger window than pressing 2 buttons that are next to each other. So if I want to go from triangle down to X, I've got twice as long as I go from triangle to square.
All right.
So
that's very handy.
Yeah, it's class because it makes so much sense when you hear it.
It does.
But no one's ever done it. And so does this thing. It's called high-low unblockables blocking. Now, in every fighting game, there's 3 portions of the body, low, mid, and high. If you're standing and you have your guard up, you're always blocking your mid and your head.
High, yeah.
Whereas your low is and your legs are exposed. If you go down and guard, then you're blocking low but not mid, and your high is your high isn't there because you're crouched. Yeah. What this does is, once I drop my guard, the section that was unprotected now becomes protected for half a second. So I can't now just hit you in the head and then immediately hit you in the leg, which would be an unblockable combo.
Yeah.
So there's like if I hit you in the head and you guard yourself, and then you drop your guard, for half a second now your feet are protected from anything I try and do.
Right.
And the game is, I could go on about these little mechanisms they threw in there, but Like there's loads of them. And
The one thing for the game that really sticks out for me is actually the art style. The art style, I think,
Oh,
is
yeah,
very
looks
well
beautiful.
done. If you guys haven't seen it, go look up some videos, and it's sublime how they've done it.
I finally have something to say.
that's
Last
good.
week I knew nothing about this game, and I finally saw a gameplay video the other day, and I just want to say it looks like it's a game that should have blood, but it has no blood. I just kind of when I saw the combat, and they were hitting each other, I just expected blood, but there was no blood. It was a bit
Honestly,
weird.
I don't care. That's not an issue for me.
I know, but I don't know. It's just something in my mind expected. and it
You
looks
just
a bit
play
weird.
too much Mortal Kombat. That's your problem.
Screw you.
Mortal Kombat, great
Amar,
game, though.
speaking of the art, the music in this game is fantastic.
Oh yes, yes.
Do you remember Konami's Castlevania?
Yeah.
The same woman who composed them is composing this music.
That's kinda
Really?
cool.
Yeah, her
That's
name is
cool.
Michiru Yamane, and if you've listened to Castlevania soundtrack, it's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah. So we're gonna move on really quickly there onto a game you really want to talk about, Graham.
Another fighting game,
Tekken.
Tekken 3D Prime Edition. I mentioned it earlier on the show. I mentioned it last week. I'm going to mention it again because it's awesome. Again, last week there was a few things I didn't get to say, which I'm going to say right now. In 3D on the 3DS, a handheld console, this fighting game is going to run at 60 frames per second.
Or so they say.
No, it will. Okay, that's amazing. I will not believe this isn't true because 60 frames per second in 3D is awesome. Now, when you play wirelessly, like Amara, if you and I wanted to battle, 3D would disappear. Boo-hoo, who cares? It's still at 60 FPS.
yeah.
And it's amazing.
Most consoles can't do, but no console can do 60 FPS.
No, they can. They just
can.
don't.
Oh yeah.
All the characters from Tekken 6 are back, so that's 40 plus characters in a handheld.
Does it have gone?
Sorry?
Does it have gone?
No.
Aw.
It does not have
I
Gon.
love John. He was so annoying because you couldn't hit him.
One point of interest is, though, on the cover, Heihachi is depicted as being young again, like in Tekken 2 and 1.
Oh, yeah,
Now,
yeah.
in Tekken Tag 2, he's also depicted young, but we just thought that because Tekken Tag 2 isn't canon.
Yeah, it just
Like
takes
Tekken Tag
place
1.
whenever.
But if this turns out to be canon, because it takes place between 3 and 5, then there's a reason for it. The suspected reason is the original voice actor for Heihachi in the Japanese game died recently.
Right.
Before the release of Tekken Tag 2. So I think it's sort of to honour him.
Alright.
They've brought the character back to what the original character was.
All right. Speaking of Tekken, actually, we got.
Oh, so I have two apologies to make, two corrections from last
Alright.
week. The tag challenges I mentioned are gone. They're not going to be in the game.
Unfortunately.
And also, the release date. I remember I said February 17th, which will be this Friday, and we said that might be an American release date.
Yeah.
It is not. This is the Irish release date.
Really?
It's coming out this Friday.
Wow.
That's
in
really
shops.
soon. Yeah.
So go out between now and Friday and buy a 3DS and buy this game and play it.
Speaking of
Also,
Tekken,
sorry, I know that there's a lot to say about this game. This is my last point. It's been co-developed with Eureka, who made Street Fighter X, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, Blood Vengeance. The movie that was released, well, it was screened last year
Yeah.
in Japanese and released, put on DVD. It's a 3D, hour-and-a-half long film, and it is on the DS cartridge.
And it's canon.
In 3D. And it's canon, yeah,
It's
between
canon.
3 and 5.
Speaking of Tekken, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, right? Everybody's really looking for it. There's a couple of new announcements have been made. Some characters have been announced. First of all, we have Ogre from the
True Ogre or just Ogre?
Ogre
Okay.
from the Tekken